Hi, I'm Corey, and back from a little bit of a sabbatical. Went out to Colorado. We went and saw John Mulaney at Red Rocks, and I've never been to Red Rocks, so that's always a life-changing experience when you get out there. And Olivia Munn was there. She's married to Mulaney, and so that was pretty cool because when Zach was growing up, we always watched Attack of the Show, and she was kind of the hot nerd chick, so really enjoyable. But the main reason we went was we went to a writing conference in Colorado Springs, so we drove up. It was just life-changing experience. There were people who actually make a good living. Probably the most known to this group would be Mary Robinette Kowal. Pals around with Brandon Sanderson, but she's won tons of Hugo and Nebula awards for her science fiction writing, and she's got a world-famous cat that can talk and other things. And it wasn't like just enough to sit with these successful writers and take their classes, but you could go and sit down with them at lunch and ask them questions and dinner and just hang with them. And so they're all really wonderful people, and it was a super inspiring conference. Right after that, I needed to house sit for my daughter, and she's got two great corgis that they're pretty low maintenance. And of course, I just came from this writing conference, so I was going to write, and I had a whole planned thing because I've got so many things I need to check off for the WitchBorn, and I didn't get to any of the planned stuff. The reason being is my buddy Tim took me to lunch before we went, and he was talking about the Wulfs, those children of the moon. And Tim loves his Wulfs. I mean, I'm not talking like, hey, yeah, he plays them. I mean, he just lives the Wulfs. And so he was talking about some of the things because he knew I was puttering around with some ideas and everything. And the cool thing is when you're house sitting alone, there's nothing to distract you. There was one stretch where I worked 24 hours straight, and for some reason I had so many good ideas on the Wulfs. I think we're all metagamers to some point, and I've kind of identified some of the groups. But Tim is in what I call the most is best. And so he wants the most expensive warriors, and he wants the most he can get of that expensive warrior, and he wants the most expensive armor and the most expensive weapons, and he's going to pick one spell that he thinks is the best, and that's probably about the only spell he's ever going to learn. And he just saturates, if there's a master skill that he falls in love with, that is going to be the master skill that all his guys get. It's just, that's the best. Everybody's got to have it. And where that gets Tim in trouble is the hunters on Children of the Moon they fit that most category, and they intentionally suck. The huntresses are the better ones. But so he's got those 20 war clans that all have 2 or 3 hunters, and he's got the whelps, and he just never gets over that hump. So I first started off by thinking, okay, what does he need to make the wolves better? The easy thing is just to make the hunters cost less than the huntresses, and that would fix it for him. But that's really not the spirit. And I was thinking about what I did kind of with the paladins, right? There used to be a lancer, a warrior that was a lancer, and I'd be playing games with people, and the lancers wouldn't have lances. They wouldn't even have horses. They, just crazy. So I realized that people need a little guidance, right? I've kind of blown out this, what used to be one column, now is 3 pages talking about each of the warrior types. And the warriors will have some suggestions on, hey, you want to develop them this way. Hey, you might want to try this. Like, it never said that stalkers should be missile guys. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, they have agility proficiencies. Everybody's going to know that they're fantastic missile guys. And with curve shot and stuff, they're probably the best missile guys. But Tim, he's locked in on power and most. So he's making his stalkers into melee guys. And you'll notice in the last version of the Living Rule book, you can't get sleight of hand for Biggins anymore because his whole goal was to get sleight of hand on his stalkers because then they're even better melee guys, right? In fairness to Tim, Wulfs don't have a great step up for missiles. You got a cheap one at, 2 or 3 gold for bolas, which, with a 3 agility, Or if you save up your money, 8 gold for an atlatl, you're a little better off. But if you look at like what I've done with the elves, it's like everyone can start with a javelin because they're 1 gold. You can get some short bows on 2 of your better archers. You can step up to long bows and then eventually self bows, And so part of the fixes of the wolves is creating that step up with their missiles. One of the last big changes was the sky and water spells were really written for elves. If you got cold fire, you really don't need any other spells if you're building a melee wolf team. And why would you build a missile wolf team, And so I have 4 guys with +2 to damage. There's guys running around that are +9, +10, +11. That's plenty good. That'll get through just about any armor without luck. And the spells were coming to me really tough, but it's like, well, I need to fill this niche and I need to fill this niche. And, I had close to half a dozen done. And I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to fill niches. I'm not thinking about what the wolves would think about. And they come from the area with the weirdest weather in the world. They've got these rift storms that are magical storms, and wouldn't their magic start to emulate the storms and the different weird weather events? And then it just started coming really quick, right? The wolves have their own school of magic now with 28 spells. Meet the War Child. She is kind of the next evolution of Children of the Moon. I'm going to limit you to 1 whelp and 1 hunter, and I've monkeyed with the stats like crazy. Brutes are now going to be paragons. There's a new character called the Little One who is all about smarts and mind throw and some of that kind of stuff. A little work on the transformations. Howl is going to replace none on the transformations, so you'll always get something. Every skill has some kind of update to it. All good, all for the better. Mistwalker has become one of my favorite skills. Mistweaver is so different from before, you won't even recognize it. I spent a day brainstorming wildwood equipment, so there is tons of new wildwood. Weapons used to be 1 page for melee weapons, now it's 2. Missiles got that step up. Putting a nice little scarf on your wolf is going to help them. They like to collect brooches and buttons, so you can read about that. But the big changes are the moon dancers. Holy cow. Like I said, spent a whole 24 hours on them. They're going to be able to cast spells via mind speech, but buff spells extend from reach up to extra long as the receiver has mind speech. Like I said, 28 spells. 8 of them are exactly Sky and water spells. 20 of them are brand spanking new. But a lot of them are completely different, like Change Winds and Comfort, and Eldritch Rain, and Frost Cage, and Northern Chimes, and Pulse Storm, and Rainbow Burst. And it goes on and on. Slink Root, and Snow Rising, and Tendrils of Doom, and Thaw, and Whiteout, and Whoosh. More to come, too. They're going to get more beasts and everything else. But I guess this is the news here. Anybody who has bought the PDF version of Children of the Moon at some point, they'll get a notification to download the new version, and you can become a beta tester for me. If you never bought the PDF version, I'm going to post it at a very reasonable price. Buy it now anyway, because it's going to be $30, maybe even $36 when it goes live and is official. But I welcome everybody who wants to try the beta testing, and let's bring Wulfs back. Let's make them more exciting and more played. It's going to be fun.